Let's do it.
Let's do it. World of Matchups is back after a small hiatus. Dexter Reed, World of Matchups, coming to you guys live and direct from Las Vegas, Nevada, on the other side of the glass. My A1 from day one, producer, co-founder of World of Matchups, and the man super happy about getting Black Ties in the draft. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in Spencer the Wiz. What's going on, bro? Welcome back to the show. Let's go.
Yeah, it feels good. It feels like it's a busy time for us. We still got to do like draft grades. We got to do team overviews. We'll be busy before the start of the season. It's one of the best parts about making content about football is that the offseason feels shorter because you're constantly talking about it.
Absolutely. And real ones know that the NFL is 24/7, 365. You know, true football heads never rest, man. There is zero off season. Today, we're bringing you guys our top 10 best games of the season. Look, this is just our version of it. I'm sure you guys are going to differ on what you think it might be, what your mama might think it might be. This is our show, okay? Like,
even we have different picks.
Even Spencer and I have different top 10s. You know what I mean? But like, we kind of culminated what we thought, and we'll talk about it a little bit. So we're going to start off with game number one. I think this is the most obvious. It's the Super Bowl rematch. I mean, how could you have anything else here not be number one? Okay, so you have the San Francisco 49ers hosting the Kansas City Chiefs. This is week 7. This is, I believe, October 20th. There's a couple things about this game that really intrigue me. Number one, the Chiefs have an early bye in week 6, so they're coming off the bye. Andy Reid off the bye is house money. Patrick Mahomes is 4-0 San Francisco in his career. That's also very, very telling, especially when you're looking at a team like the San Francisco 49ers, who this could be their last stand here, Spencer. They got a lot of aging guys now. They're still stacked. They're still loaded. But I believe if they think that they're going to win a Super Bowl this year, this is a game that they absolutely have to win at home. They have to win this game. The last time the Chiefs went to San Francisco, it was a close game. I blinked, and then the Chiefs won 21 points or something like that. And so it's going to be really interesting to see which way the ball drops in this game. And it just kind of – it makes me really think that if San Francisco somehow loses this game, we can really you can close their Super Bowl window. I mean, if you're serious about ever bringing a Super Bowl home with this group, you cannot lose this game to Kansas City in your building. Your thoughts?
Yeah, this is an interesting time for the 49ers. You know, Super Bowl hangover is a real thing for both teams, especially when you lose it. So you get the shortest turnaround of anybody in the offseason, and you didn't get anything for it, really. That's tough. So I actually have to give a lot of credit to the 49ers for their core sticking together. It's so easy to fall apart when you make it that far. I mean, you see it in almost every professional sport. And they've just been keep going at it. This is an important game for them, you know, besides the fact that, you know, any regular season game is important. I think they need to prove to themselves what they can do, because if they're going to go back to the Super Bowl, probably going to go through the Chiefs again. And I think they just need to see it. I think they need to see a victory. You're at home. The last time didn't go so well. There's got to be so much revenge brewing up in you. So we'll see what kind of pride this team plays with in week 7.
Yeah, you know, not to mention, man, everyone likes to give the Cowboys a lot of shit. You know, they choke when it matters, blah, 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 blah. But where's that same energy for San Francisco, bro? You know what I mean? How many Super Bowls have they lost in a row now? How many big games have they lost when it counted, when they're up by 10? Like, I don't want to hear another word. If they get annihilated at home in this game, if they lose this game at home by double digits, I don't want to hear another word about San Francisco. Next.
In number 2, it is the Ravens and Chiefs.
Opening night. I know you guys are really getting weary of Kansas City, but the bottom line is it's good football. And this was the AFC Championship game, which everybody and their mother told me that, you know, the Baltimore Ravens were going to absolutely destroy Kansas City. Kansas City getting 4.5 in that game was ridiculous. They won the game. They played bully ball with the bullies, and now the Bullies are heading to Arrowhead week 1, Thursday night, September 5th. Look, it's well documented that I don't love Lamar, but Lamar is a 2-time MVP going away both times. Arrowhead under the lights opening night to drop the banner. This is going to be a very, very good game. These are two teams that are definitely in the upper echelon of the Super Bowl contenders, and they're going to be going at it. I don't see how anybody could have a top 10 list and not have this game be circled on it somewhere, somehow. The Chiefs have retooled. They bring in Worthy. You know, the Ravens have retooled. They continue to go defensively. They bring in Wiggins, you know, and a lot of other ancillary pieces. Will it be enough to get this W? I'm one of the few people that just think Lamar is going to have a career just filled with accolades and no rings. If the Baltimore Ravens are serious about ever winning a Super Bowl, this is a game that they have to win. Is it a winnable game? I think it is a winnable game for them, man. Every game is winnable, I think. You know, anything can happen on any given day. I do think the Kansas City Chiefs will remember what happened last year when they dropped the banner without Chris Jones and Travis Kelce, and they're going to do everything they can to get these games. Their first two games are back-to-back AFC Championship game rematches. The odds makers, the schedule makers did them zero favors. The Ravens will be coming in as 3-point dogs in this game at least. And to me, I think it's almost just a little bit better than a coin flip for the Chiefs, but this is good football waiting to happen.
Yeah, this is the only one that the game that I didn't share on my list with you. And I guess it stems a little bit more, not from Chiefs fatigue, because, I mean, I'm a Raiders fan. I don't like the Chiefs. That's well documented. But at the same time, they push numbers. They're winning Super Bowls. So they're obviously going to be on a lot of the list for top 10 games of the season. It's more about the Ravens for me. I'm not to say that I'm over it, but every time you need Lamar to do something, I mean, it's just like his career is defined by disappointment. He's like, this game does always produce good regular season matchups. So maybe I'm being a little extreme by not putting it on my top 10 list. I understand, and I'm sure it's probably on most people's, especially considering it's week 1. But I think I just feel like I need to see the Ravens prove it. I do have the Ravens on another time on my list for a different reason, but I just need to see more from them. You know, the regular season stuff, it's like I'm almost tired of it. Now, I'd love to see the Raiders get as many regular season wins as the Ravens like in the last 20 years. But yeah, it just always feels like, yeah, okay, another big regular season win for the Ravens. You know, let's see them get bounced out of the first round of the playoffs or the second round of the playoffs. So I guess I just have a little bit of regular season fatigue with the Ravens right now.
Yeah, I'm not a big believer in him either. I mean, you know how I feel about Lamar. I don't think he's a winner.
Show me, you know, I always just think about that Titans game for some reason just sticks in my mind with Lamar Jackson. I mean, you lose to Ryan Tannehill, and it's just like, and he didn't play well in that game either. It wasn't like the Ravens defense let them down. He didn't play good in that game, and it just kind of had this big stink on it. And again, last season he didn't play that great against the Chiefs in the playoffs, and I would classify it as a disappointing performance for sure.
There's no question about it. I mean, everyone's, crutch is always, well, they just don't give Lamar enough. He didn't have enough. Dude, you're home with T-Pain, T-Sizzle, Ray Lewis. They were all there, bro. What is the excuse to lose to the Chiefs in that game? There is none. But Lamar supporters always seem to have one. Well, here's another opportunity under the lights in front of the entire world, opening night for you to, show us why you are supposed to be like the best thing since sliced bread. I mean, you openly have said you even hate competing against Patrick Mahomes. So now the whole world knows you don't want to even play this guy because you know what happens. But I think it is definitely going to be a very good game. And to me, it has to be on a top 10 list. Next.
All right, let's jump over to number 3. Bengals at Chiefs. This is just kind of, I think, probably the flagship matchup, right? The Peyton Manning, versus Tom Brady, right? The new version of that, and it just
more Chiefs.
No one else has taken the reins yet. This next crop of quarterbacks,
it's there for the taking.
Yeah, it's just Patrick Mahomes and everyone else right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's me too. It's there for the
we have.
It's there for the taking, folks. I mean, the only quarterback in the NFL to really have any real success against Patrick Mahomes has been Joe Burrow. And this is a big season for Joe Burrow. And all Chiefs fatigue aside, folks, if you're like hoping and praying someone takes Kansas City out, then you should be on the Bengals train because they're built to do it. Now, they lose Mixon. Do I think that is a huge loss? Not really. I mean, they still have Jamar Chase. T. Higgins is there, and he's going to be playing hard because he wants a long-term deal for somebody else. I mean, they bring in Gesicki. And this has to be a big bounce-back year for Joe Burrow because he's been injured more than he hasn't been. So they bring in Amarius Mims to help solidify the line. And Kansas City is out there to prove that the one loss that they had when it mattered versus Joe Burrow was more about them losing the game than the Bengals winning the game. And there's no love lost between these two. Jamar Chase hates the Chiefs with a passion. And so having them flying at Arrowhead week 2, I mean, my goodness, first the Ravens, then you bring in the Cincinnati Bengals. This is a humongous game. Think about the tiebreakers that could be already solidified after the first 2 or 3 weeks in the NFL if the Chiefs get both these games. And so both these teams are playing with chips on their shoulders. Joe Burrow's got a lot to play for here, man. He really does. I mean,
he needs to see 17 games this season.
Joe Burrow, number one, needs you know what Joe Burrow needs? Joe Burrow needs an MVP. Because people talk about him like he's an MVP. And he walks around acting like he's an MVP. But what have you done? You went to the Super Bowl and lost. And you beat a Kansas City team that, in my mind, beat themselves. They beat Andy Reid through that game. That was a horrible loss for Kansas City. No question in my mind that they lost that game. They had it won. 21-10 with the ball first going into the second half. I don't know. But this is a big game, big rivalry. And if anyone's going to take out the Chiefs, a lot of people seem to think it's going to be the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, the Bengals have just I don't know, they've dropped off. I mean, that's pretty easy to say. They've
gotten worse.
They're still holding on to that for sure. They need to move on, and they just haven't done that yet. If they start, the fact that this is in Kansas City too, I mean, they really beat themselves up. That the moment that they started talking about Burrowhead and stuff, I know that I will say the national media did drive that a little bit, but I do think the Bengals are to blame for it kind of starting. I think it kind of got perpetuated a little bit. You know how the media
mayor started running his mouth. I mean, come on, bro.
It was bad. It was bad for the team, and I think that's when things really started to go bad for him.
They got no class. I mean, it's one thing if you have the hardware and you have the come from behind wins and you have the stature where a team like a Baltimore sees you and then they shit their pants and forget what they do well. And that's not who the Bengals are. That's who the Chiefs are. The Bengals walk around like they're the Chiefs. You know what I mean? Because they got that one win. They got that one win. And then they went to the Super Bowl and act like they won the Super Bowl. Dude, you lost. You lost. Now your star quarterback has been injured. I kind of feel like if there's a team holding on to yesteryear, it's the Bengals. It's like, dude, she broke up with you 2 years ago. She's not your girlfriend anymore. You're still walking around like she's your girlfriend. You know what I mean? And that's who they are. But this is going to make for good TV because both teams really have a lot to play for. Chiefs are highly motivated to three-peat and beat everybody in their way, especially at home. And Joe Burrow needs a healthy season. Next.
Number 4. Yeah, this is going to be great because the Lions had no business losing that game. I mean, at all.
None.
I said Dan Campbell was going to cost him the season. At some point, I didn't know if it was going to be in the Super Bowl. I mean, it looked like it at one point. I just felt like he was going to cost him a game, and he sure as hell did last year.
You call that. You call that. I'm telling you, this is going to be a hell of a game, man. And I'm shocked. They paid Goff. I didn't think they were going to pay Goff. They paid Goff. So everyone is paid. The Lions have gone about their business right. So I'm on the Lions train. Okay? The Lions are my pick. I don't care how hard their schedule is. The Lions are my pick to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl this year. That's what I'm going with. They have the draft in their building. They pay Amon-Ra. They pay Goff. They pay Sewell. They trade up. They get Arnold. I mean, they are going for this. Jahmyr Gibbs is going to get a little bit more this year. Sam Laporta, they're ready, man. If they get their defense a little bit and bring back CJ Garner-Johnson, if they can just get their defense a little bit better, they'll be in good shape. I really like this matchup. I'm one of the few people that thinks the 49ers is done. Personally, I do. I got to see more out of them than I saw last year. I don't know. I could definitely see the Detroit Lions going into San Francisco and winning this game. This is a Week 17 game. Boy, this game is going to matter a lot. A lot. Seeding is on the line with this game here. The Lions are going to be playing hard. And there's something to be said about going into a building versus a really good team and being up 17 and losing and understanding why you lost and looking at that as being a missed opportunity. The next year, your team is going to come back with a hunger that no other team can even understand. And I think that's what you're going to see from the Detroit Lions this year. And so I like this matchup. I think this is going to be a great game, and that's why it's number 4 on my list.
Yeah, I mean, the Lions double down on everything. It just comes down to, is Dan Campbell going to take a hit on blackjack when he's at 18? It just feels like that's what defines his coaching. It's like, dude, just, you can't get 21 every time. At some point it's going to come to bite you. He's a good coach. He keeps his guys motivated. They have creative players on offense. This is probably, in my opinion, the last year they're going to see this level of success because Ben Johnson's gone. Their play caller next year. He's going to be a head coach.
He'll be a head coach.
Whatever team, you know what I mean? He's too good at running this offense. I thought the Raiders were probably going to grab him at some point this offseason. He interviewed a lot. He just didn't get it. This guy's awesome, man. You got the coach that motivates everybody to run through a wall. You got the offensive mind who can get them down to the end zone. Picked up some really good additions on defense. I think C.J. Gardner-Johnson was more of a name at this point than he is a great cornerback. I love Terrion Arnold. I thought he was cornerback number 2 on my list. I think he's going to be an immediate impact for them. More available. Gardner missed most of the season last year, and they were still rolling with that. So now you have Terrion Arnold. And I think they actually picked up Amik Robinson from the Raiders, too. I mean, they have a solid secondary now. They have all the tools that they need,
That team's Super Bowl ready.
They are. This is their year to win the Super Bowl. If they aren't going to do it this year, I don't think it's
not going to happen.
People don't understand that Tom Brady and the Patriots are flukes. People do not win 8 Super Bowls, in a 10-year period or whatever it ended up being. Most teams, the large majority of franchises, you get one shot. You put all your chips in the middle of the table for that season. Every team wants to go to the Super Bowl every year. That's just not the reality of it. It's so hard to do it.
Look what the Rams did.
Yeah. They sold out. And do you think they regret it at all? They won a Super Bowl out of it. You know what I mean? Everything is just icing on top after you win a Super Bowl. If you win one Super Bowl every 10 years, you're probably one of the most successful franchises in football. You know what I mean? So this is it for the Lions. They have all the players in position. It's not to say they're going to be terrible over the next 10 years. We're talking about winning a Super Bowl because that's all that matters in an NFL season, and they can do it. And I think they got to win this game. I know it sounds so silly, but I mean, you're going into the playoffs. It's week 17. It could be seeding on the line. Home field advantage in the
everything.
Playoffs. It's
everything. It's everything.
In basketball, you got 7 games. You got to just maybe split. If you're on the other side, you got to maybe split an away game. In football, you get one chance, and if you're at home, it makes all the difference in the world.
And they'll be underdogs in this game too. I mean, they have all the motivation in the world. You know what I mean? You're returning to the scene of the crime. This time, finish the robbery. Next.
All right, jumping into number 5, Falcons.
And Vikings.
Yeah.
So I put this here simply because this is Kirk Cousins' return to Minnesota, which I think is very underrated in the grand scheme of things. Number 1, I think Atlanta is going to be a lot better than people are willing to give them the credit for. Now, I know they botched the draft by taking Michael Penix early, but hear me out. Let's say, for instance, Kirk Cousins does get hurt. You now have a franchise quarterback sitting waiting. You're not dealing with any more Taylor Heineke's of the world. Michael Penix will come right in there, and he'll be good. That's number 1. Number 2, I think with Cousins, this team is a legit threat because they just never had anybody that can get the ball to these guys. Drake London's going to be a star this year. This might be the first year you see their tight end actually really produce. Why? Because you have somebody that can get him the ball. Somebody that can throw the ball. Not to mention, Kirk Cousins with a solid running game is always good. May not produce when it counts, but he's always good. Goes back to Minnesota. Minnesota didn't want to pay him. I think this is going to be a decent game. I don't love what Minnesota has done, but the revenge factor of it all has enough for me to have it on the top 10 list just to see how Kirk Cousins reacts just to see what he does. Now, the Falcons don't have a great schedule. The Falcons is one of these teams that could surprise people this year if everything breaks right. They are, man. I think they really could. That's an easy division. They can win that division. I think they can win that division, no problem. And so I have them here. The juice is not heavy. Who knows who's going to be starting? If it's going to be J.J. McCarthy or Sam Darnold, I would like to think it's going to be J.J. McCarthy. A lot of question marks surrounding him as well. You trade basically you let the great white hope go to one team, and then you draft the great white hype. Let's see what these guys can do.
Yeah, every regular season game is interesting in football, unless you're like the Panthers or something, right? Like you can get enjoyment out of every football game that you watch. So it's always about those games that just have those extra storylines that make them the most interesting. This is definitely one of them. I have another game like that on my list too, where it's really just like the names involved and the background stories. Yeah, the Vikings are in a really weird place. I don't really know what to think of them. If they get good quarterback play, I mean, theoretically, they should be just as good as they were last year. I do think J.J. McCarthy's going to end up winning that spot week 1. I'd be pretty shocked. He'd have to be like bad. Everyone would just be wrong. And a lot of people thought he was overhyped coming out of college. So we'll have to see. Preseason for them will be interesting. I'm sicko when I watch preseason football. So the Vikings are probably one that I'll be watching the most because at the end of the day, even though I think J.J. McCarthy is probably going to get it, it will be a battle. Like if he's terrible in the preseason, they'll roll out Sam Darnold. Like he's going to have to play pretty good, and Sam Darnold's going to be playing really hard.
He wants a contract.
By week 14, if their season's going wrong, it's definitely going to be J.J. McCarthy. And Kirk Cousins would love to stick it to them. If they are having a bad season, he'd love to blow them out by like 20. So there's going to be, I don't know what this matchup's going to look like by week 14. So that's part of the intrigue about it too. Like where are both of these teams going to be landing by season? By week 14, you're going to know essentially what their season's going to look like.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Which is another reason why I put them on this list. I mean, who knows? Week 14, you could have the Falcons battling for a playoff berth. I mean, you just don't know. But I'm always intrigued by Kirk Cousins when he gets these contracts. Did he live up to the contract in Minnesota? Hard to say. I mean, he lost to the Giants at home, which is disgusting. And he always seems to get paid. But I think him going back to Minnesota is storyline enough to have him in this list. Next.
Chiefs at Bills. This is just another one of those big quarterback matchups that define the league. It's another kind of quarterback that I feel, I don't know, like I was so lucky growing up, like in what I got to see for football. I got to see Drew Brees, Eli Manning. Like there just aren't guys like that yet in the NFL. There are talented quarterbacks, but none of them have gone to the height of like winning Super Bowls. Like all these guys I'm talking about won Super Bowls. So when they faced each other, there was an extra little bit of juice because all of these quarterbacks are Hall of Famers and they're chasing Super Bowls. The Bills and the Bengals are chasing Super Bowl appearances. You know what I mean?
On Mahomes' watch, bro. That's really what it boils down to.
But still,
Brady and Stafford. No one's eating on his watch. It's kind of Jordan-esque, let's be honest. But this is another game where everybody told me that the Bills were going to roll the Chiefs. And I'm just like, I'm not so sure about that. And now Stephon Diggs is gone. And they bring in Keon Coleman, who's full of himself, and Josh Allen is supposed to be, only second to Patrick Mahomes. Well, let's run it back in your building, and let's give you yet another opportunity to showcase, are you really as good as people think you are? Because when it matters, you come up short. And again, if you are going to go to the AFC Championship game in the Super Bowl, you're going to go through Patrick Mahomes. It's just that simple. And so now we're giving you another shot in your building to try to do something. And I don't know. I'm not so sure the Bills are better. I think they've taken a huge step back.
Yeah, the three-peat always has a lot of extra juice to it. I mean, it's so hard to two-peat, obviously. But three-peat is like something that very few teams in sports history do. And that's just like a little extra motivation. So every game that Chiefs play, man, it is going to be a
Super Bowl.
fight.
It's a Super Bowl, which is why they gave him all these big matchups. They made sure Mahomes plays every good quarterback. You're going to play
Yeah.
Burrow. You're going to play Allen. You're going to play Lamar. You're playing all of them. You're going to
Gardner
play
Minshew.
You're
Oh,
you're gonna play CJ Stroud, like you're playing all these big arm quarterbacks, and that's just how it goes. You know, if you're either big name already or you're up and coming, the NFL found a way for you to play Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. And so Chiefs and Bills is going to be fireworks. It always is. This is always a very entertaining game. I mean, just go back and look at the last 5 games this team has played, and especially the ones in the playoffs. I mean, that playoff game when the Chiefs won with 13 seconds left, that's the greatest game I've ever seen. Ever. I mean, I conceded the game. I was sitting in my living room over here. I conceded the game. You know, my wife's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Tyreek Hill is streaking down the field.
It's so oh man, it's so funny when you say that. Like
insane.
My mom,
insane.
This reminds me of growing up, like the Raiders, they'd be down like a touchdown, dude. Football is the greatest sport in the world. Like, no other sport makes me feel like that. Like I get so depressed, like when I don't know. There's just something about it, man. Football is just the best sport. It's so good.
Like this for you and I mean, we are galvanized by our football teams. I mean, it's not our identity. We know who we are, but it's what makes us happy. Nothing makes me happier than seeing, like, dude, seeing the Chiefs win the Super Bowl. Literally, like, I'm not even joking you. Like, if I passed away, I'd be fine with it. I'd be fine. Literally, if I passed away the next day, I'd be fine. I've lived a great life. That's one of the few things I've ever wanted to see. If you know anything about Kansas City Chiefs history and the amount of horrific playoff losses this team accrued over the last 30 years and how I suffered mightily at the hands of every one of those losses, crying in parking lots, getting beat up, being drunk, slobbering, getting arrested. Like, all that, bro. All of it.
So when you're on the 9-to-5 grind, dude, Sunday football it's what you
everything. So guys like you and me, we're invested, you know, and so Bills Mafia is really feeling what I'm talking about right now, and they really they got to get this win versus the Chiefs, man. I mean, they absolutely have to. I mean, it's must-see TV. Week 11, it'll start getting cold in Buffalo. Who knows what the elements will look like? But there'll be no love lost when Patrick Mahomes and Kansas City pull up in Buffalo and get ready to hit it again at Highmark Stadium. Next,
Eagles at Bengals.
Fireworks galore. I saw this and I was like, look, fireworks. I just love this matchup because just whatever the over is, take the over. Eagles, I believe, could easily represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. Eagles, Lions, Niners. It's going to be one of those 3. And
there's no the Eagle, like, this is it for the Eagles. Like, they have, like,
I don't know about that.
They've had a little bit of descent. They've recovered.
They bounced back quick, man.
They did, but they got to show it.
Yeah, they got to show it. Got to show it. On paper right now, it looks really, really good because Howie Roseman, they just draft so well. Like, a guy goes down, there's just another guy waiting, you know, and guys fall in their lap all the time. This is a big, big year for Jalen Hurts. Big year. You go get Barkley. I mean, they still have Slim Reaper. A.J. Brown is top 5 wide receiver. Dallas Goedert is very, very good, and their defense is very, very good. Sure, you lose Jason Kelce. Fine. That's not a huge loss in the grand scheme of things. Now you go to the Bengals, who are another team trying to prove that they belong, man. You know, we just talked about them. They need to have a very, very good year. They have a good team coming in. The Eagles could easily be undefeated going into this game. It wouldn't surprise me at all. A lot of people are calling Sirianni out. He knows that, like, literally one more bad season, one more meltdown in the last 8 weeks of the season, he is gone. He'll be working at Geno's, cheesesteaks. Like, he'll be gone. They got rid of Andy Reid for less. So he'll be out of there. And so I like this game a lot. I like the scoring potential a lot. I like the big name players on both sides of the ball. I mean, literally, man, this is a fantasy wet dream, this game. And so I chose this game for that. And I think if the Bengals could beat the Eagles here, that would say a lot for them moving forward. And I think if the Eagles beat the Bengals here, I mean, this is either way you go, that's a statement W for whatever team gets it.
Yeah, it's week 8, so both of these teams could be like, 5-3 or 6-2. Maybe one of these teams is undefeated. This is going to be a marquee matchup. Is this like a primetime? I'm guessing it's a primetime game.
Might be.
I don't know if it's like a Monday game, but this is going to be under the lights. Everyone's going to be watching. Everyone's going to be talking about it. It gets me excited. I wish it was week 1 of the NFL season already. It's just one of those things. When you get home from work on Thursday and you know there's a big game or Monday night going around, this is just one of those games, man. You just plant yourself and you just get excited about it.
Yeah, even bad football is better than no football. And what I'm interested in watching this year is seeing how the new rules have affected the game. So even if there's a bad game on, I'm going to be looking to watch. Well, how the kickoffs? How are they going? How are they calling this hip drop tackle stuff? You know what I mean?
Yeah, taking a like an outside look at the schedule in general, they're a little bit more aggressive on getting rid of the bad primetime games. It seems like like the Panthers are not going to see national TV essentially, other than their like mandatory
no primetime games.
Yeah.
None.
So the before they were more aggressive about evening it out, like every team's going to get a chance. This season they kind of got rid of that a little bit.
Well, they gave the Jets 6 primetime games only because they're scared of Aaron Rodgers, but that's a whole nother story.
He brings in money.
Ravens at Chargers. I put this on here because this is the Harbaugh Bowl, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now, that might not mean a lot to you guys, but I think that matters. You two brothers coaching for this, for the NFL. This is going to be good. And I'm one of these people who I think that Jim Harbaugh is going to turn the Chargers around pretty quickly. It's not going to happen this year, but it's going to happen. He's going to get back to doing what works, and that's running the football, playing good defense, scoring enough points to win, which is a far cry from what the Chargers have been. And look, we already talked about the Ravens. This is a team that they should have to eviscerate on their way to getting into like an AFC championship, AFC title match with Kansas City, whatever it is. And so both brothers are going to want to win this game. A lot of people are telling me this will be a boring game. This will be a game that really won't matter because the Ravens will destroy the Chargers. I'm not so sure that's true. I'm not so sure. You know what I mean? I'm not so sure that's true. And so I'd like to see how the two brothers line up versus each other. I'd also am looking to see how the Chargers at home withstand better competition. As an AFC West guy, I want to see what my competition is doing versus other good competition. You know what I mean? How does Justin Herbert react at this point, week 12, when he's not throwing the ball 5,000 yards? What does that look like? How is Joe Ott holding up? Guys could have had Malik Neighbors. You know what I mean? Is it time to release Quentin Johnston at this point? What does that look like? You know what I mean? What's Ladd McConkey look like? At this point, we'll have some answers to those questions. And I think this game will be a lot closer than people think. Look, the Ravens, to me, are more of a name, man. I know they went in and beat up on San Francisco. Okay, I'll give you that game. Fine. But when it mattered, when it matters, don't talk to me about regular season when you absolutely have to have it. And the commas in that guy's check that you write out and he cashes, does he earn the commas in those checks? That's what I'm concerned about. Regular season wins, man, that stuff matters for seeding. But legacy, what do you do when it's on the line? And I could see this easily being the type of game where the Ravens will have to go down and score to win. I know the Chargers will be bad, but they're going to play hard all year, man. Harbaugh will not let this team lay down. So I have him here, number 8, because brother versus brother.
Yeah, pretty straightforward. And yeah, the Chargers are such a question mark this year. You have a good coach. You have a team that was gutted a little bit, but they reinforced themselves. That wide receiver group for the Chargers is going to be the most fascinating part of the season. I mean, can they literally catch the ball? I
think Ladd McConkey is going to be very good for them.
I generally think they actually did make the right decisions getting rid of their wide receiving core. I mean, they were just aging out, constantly hurt. That's just like at some point you got to get them off your books and just rebuild,
Like Williams.
I like Quentin Johnson, I was a big fan of him coming out of the draft. You never know, you never know if any draft prospect's going to work. I still think the guy's potential. for some reason, I just, it's your rookie season. It's easy to forget these kids are like 20,
Uh,
and they go from playing in. He played at a small college, I'm pretty sure, Quentin Johnson, if I remember correctly. You go from that to playing in like a massive, Superdome essentially. Just give him an off season, give him a chance. We'll see. He's going to be the wide receiver number 1 now, whether he wants to or not. He's going to have a
maybe,
fair shake at it.
maybe. I mean, Lad McConkey, man. I think Lad McConkey could be the white version of what they wanted to be Keenan Allen. I mean, I
I
don't
think he's
know.
going to be more of a Hunter Renfro kind of guy. I think he's going to play the slot. Quentin Johnson will be on the outside playing the
Yeah.
Mike Williams role.
Yeah, Quentin Johnson went to TCU. I mean,
Yeah.
he just dropped so many passes last year. My goodness, I don't think I don't think there's going to be a number 1 on that team. Honestly,
No,
I think
they don't have one.
They don't have one. I think the focus is going to be running the ball. They should have taken Brock Bowers, man. They should have taken Brock Bowers. I would have loved that a lot. I mean, I get what you're trying to do because Harbaugh wants to run the ball. Period. Joe Alton guy, I get it, but man, Bowers in that powder blue would look nice. Next.
Texans at Cowboys.
There's a new sheriff in town. Okay, and his name is CJ Stroud. I'm going to continue to puff my chest out about that because I've told you guys way back when he is going to be one of the best quarterbacks that the NFL has seen in the last 10 years. And you saw it week 1 last year, him all of a sudden just be amazing, and it just lasted all season. Now, the Cowboys are the sit on your hands, do nothing team of this offseason, and I think they're on their way out, man. I have a funny feeling that Dak is going to have a great year, and then someone's going to pay him, like Vegas. I could see it. I think Dak is
easily see it. I've been talking about that for like 2 years now.
Totally see it. They don't have a running back in Dallas. I mean, Zeke is done. I'm sorry. I mean, Rico Dowdle, Zeke. It's sad what's happening in Dallas. I mean, if I'm CD Lamb, man, once Dak is gone, I'm pushing my way out of there too. I mean, it's bad. It's bad. It's so bad. Like one of my really good friends is like a diehard Cowboys fan. He's like, I am pledging allegiance to the Houston Texans now. He's like, I can't do it. He's like, I'm jumping ship. I'm like, wow, that is insane to me. But I understand. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. And so this is the battle for Texas here because I think this is the passing of the torch of the who owns Texas teams. Now, we have to be really careful here with Houston because maybe they just overachieved. Maybe. But there's no doubt what I saw with my own eyes was real. And their offseason has been A+. A+. You bring in Danielle Hunter. You bring in Joe Mixon. I mean, they have talent. Tank Dell is coming back. Dalton Schultz is signed. Nico Collins is solid. I mean, they're good players. Texans can make some noise here. I want to see, let the Texans go in and do like what the Packers did to the Cowboys. The Cowboys will be done. They'll be done. And so I want to see who the best team in Texas is here. I want to see more games where we're watching CJ Stroud on the road in adverse situations. That's really what I want to see this year because I'm here to tell you, as a Kansas City Chief fan, the team that I am worrying about is the Houston Texans because you've got a rookie quarterback on a rookie deal and you've got money that you've spent all over the place because you have to strike while the iron is hot. That's the way to win in the NFL. If you can win a ship with your quarterback on a rookie deal and not have to worry about paying him, you can stack Super Bowls, which is what you're now seeing with Patrick Mahomes. It could be the bank of CJ Stroud, the bank of Patrick Mahomes. And when you can't, I mean, the Bengals almost did, and they missed, and then they had to go pay Burrow, and look at them now. Highest paid quarterback, second highest paid quarterback. There's no money for freaking T. Higgins, and what do you got? Everyone wants out. Hendrickson wants out. And so I'm going to really be watching this game with a level of enthusiasm for Texas football that I haven't in a long time because I think this is going to be the passing of the torch, and I think Dak is gone after this year, no question.
Yeah, the Cowboys are interesting because it is very easy to be a prisoner of the off season, the moment where the thing is the Cowboys didn't get tangibly worse. I mean, they're essentially rolling back the same team in almost every way. No team is going to be the same from year to year, but I wouldn't say they got tangibly worse. And they had a great regular season last year, so they should be able to continue their success. It's not like they're so much more worse. It's going to fall apart. I mean, It's the same team coming in last year. They
Yeah.
won a bunch of games. They should be able to do it again, but there does seem to be something just off about the team. So we'll see how it ends up rolling with them. You know, they're kind of like unstoppable at home, it feels like a lot of the times. Are they going to continue that trend? I mean, they got like, I don't think they really lost at home last year, maybe once. And that was it. So it's still good, but you know, there's just that stigma around the Cowboys that just bring them down. It's this
Jerry
celebrity.
Jones, dude.
Yeah, it's just the celebrity status that they bring with the team. The
It's
best
Jerry
teams
Jones.
are about their business. Like even the 49ers are just about their business and they win those games and they win important games, but it's all, you know, it just goes crazy. Like when they get all these wins, they just kind of go nuts and it gets to their head and then they just choke when they need them to do it the most. If the Texans go into Dallas and win this game in week 11, that would just be unreal for the Texans.
It's the passing of the torch, dude. It's the passing of the torch. I think they are going to win this game. I think Dallas is going to have a rough season. And when I say rough season, understand what I'm saying. I'm still saying 9-10 wins, but you're going to see the same old Dallas Cowboys when it counts, when you need it, when you absolutely have to have it. I mean, you got to understand, they're playing the Giants. They're playing the freaking Commanders. I mean, they play tomato cans. They got 5 wins just for, you know, entering the building.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But we saw what Green Bay did to them in a big spot, and I didn't particularly think Green Bay was going to be that good. You know, Green Bay rolled them. You know, the ascension of Jordan Love was huge for Green Bay. I mean, come on. I mean, Dak had a great year. They protected him well, and they still choked when it mattered. When you have CD Lamb on one side and Dak's your quarterback, but they've regressed. They don't have a running game anymore. They're in bad shape, man. I think we're going to start to see the decline of the Dallas Cowboys, and I'm saying it with my chest, like I always have. This team's not going to be good until Jerry Jones is gone, until he's dead and buried. And I'm not wishing nothing bad on him, but when your owner is the coach and the GM, and the president, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This is why they don't win. It's just a fact. Next.
49ers at Dolphins, week 16.
Woo! This is Sunday Night Football. I had this game circled. This is going to be a great game. Dolphins, another one of these teams, kind of like the Bengals, who walk around thinking, you know, that they're better than they really are. They act like they've won Super Bowls when they've done absolutely nothing. You know, if the sun's not out, they do absolutely nothing. If they have to go on the road in inclement weather, they do absolutely nothing. And this is week 16, where if they're going to do something, seeding is going to be on the line later in the last part of the season. And you're going to now have to face a humongous threat that's coming to your building in front of the whole world, under the lights. Now, they're going to pay Tua like a bunch of dummies because they don't have a choice. You drafted him. You want to win, you're going to have to pay Tua. Can they win the Super Bowl with Tua? In my mind, unless something happens to Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen permanently, the answer is no. But they're going to pay him. You now bring in Odell for absolutely no reason at all. I mean, you still have Tyreek, you have Waddle. I like Arshan. I like their offense. Can their defense now do anything? Jalen Ramsey, to me, is just a name right now. I mean, who'd they sign? They signed Chop Robinson, I believe. That's good for them. But the bottom line is, here comes Christian McCaffrey. You know what I mean? Here comes Debo. Here comes Ayuk, who I believe will not be traded at this point. You know, here comes Kittle. This is going to be a great Sunday Night Football game. This is going to be a fantasy wet dream as well. There's going to be tons of points in this game, tons of stars. And the bottom line is, like, both of these teams will not be able to afford to lose this game. This is going to be a very important game, week 16, especially for the Dolphins, who I think are going to be mid at best and fighting to get in the playoffs. And I want to see what you can do. Dolphin fans talk so much crap, and they never do anything. They never do anything. The Chiefs had a horrendous year, and you should have got blown. You should have got shut out in that playoff game. Tyreek got pushed all over the field. You guys didn't even want to get off the bus. It was so cold. If the weather's not 90 degrees or better, the Dolphins are useless.
Yeah, the Dolphins are like those team, like week 5, you're like, this team's going to win the Super Bowl. And then by week 17, you're like, oh, this is a terrible team. I don't know, man. It's just like when they play in Miami, you know, they play in the good weather, like you said. They look like the best team I've ever seen in my life. I mean, they dropped, 70 points or something last year?
Just 70 on Denver.
Insane.
Denver's a good defense.
It's, you know, a run and gun offense. It does come down to Tua. It always has. It always will.
It turns the ball over, man. Tua turned the ball over.
Or he just gets hurt, or it's always something, man. It's just always something with him. Like, it's not something you can even define. You know, takes a bad sack, throws a bad interception. Against bad teams, it's easy to recover because they have these guys who can just get you a touchdown like at any moment. You know what I mean? But when you play the good teams and you need a good play out of them, it's 3rd and 11. You need a big first down.
He's Samoan Derek Carr, dude. That's what he is. He's Samoan Derek Carr.
Sometimes they give you a great ball and you're like, man, this guy's whoa. And then other times you're just like, oh, okay, just lost us the game.
That's pretty much what it is. You know what I mean? When you have those kind of weapons on offense, you would really think that they would be doing a lot more than they did last year. And I don't necessarily feel like they got that much better this year, especially on defense. Remains to be seen, but this is going to be a great matchup. A very quiet offseason. They don't have a whole lot of money to spend. You know what I mean? They're gonna pay Tua. So that's the top 10. I know you had some honorable mention games that you wanted to throw out there, especially one hot take that I was kind of interested in.
Yeah, this is something that I think you and I have been keeping track of for a while now. It's one of the more underrated aspects of the season or the off season. Titans-Bears week 1. That's one of my most anticipated games of the year.
Oh, it's the Caleb game. It's the Caleb Will Levis passing the torch to the new generation.
The Titans, behind the scenes, very silently, have had a great offseason. No one talks about them because it's a small market team.
I've been telling you, Titans are going for this shit, dude. They're going for it.
I think back to that Titans-Dolphins game last year. That was the game where I'm like, okay, man, I got to give Will Levis a little bit of respect because a lot of people thought he would just flame out and never really do anything. And the guy's tough, he's got to be careful though. He's got to change his life. He's going to get his brains blown out one of these times. I mean, he just suicide dives. And it's like, yeah, man, it's cool. You got the first down in that game, but that's the thing about Patrick Mahomes, man. The guy does not, he knows the best ability is availability.
He just doesn't take hits.
No one play is worth your career or your season. I know it feels like it. You want to, you always want to get the win. Anthony Richardson's the same way, man.
His career, dude. He's the next Cam Newton.
But in week 1, I like that it's a fresh slate. So if both of these teams are having bad, seasons, it's not a very interesting game. But the fact that these two teams have 2 young quarterbacks, they gave them all the weapons they could ever need in the world. Let's see who's a better team. I love that game. I'm excited about it.
Yep. Honorable mention for me is Chiefs Raiders. Raiders Black Friday. I mean, a lot of people think they belong in the top 10. I'm not necessarily that high on it. I mean, people call it a rivalry. For me, it's for it to be a rivalry. One team has to win, and the other team has to win as well. I mean, the Chiefs win 8 out of 10 of those matchups. Not to mention, there's no star power on the quarterback side for me in Vegas now. Anthony has, AP has done a great job galvanizing the Raiders, and they're talking quite a bit of shit, which is good. And they're the last team to beat the Chiefs, which is all good and all of it. I get all of it, you know what I mean? But, the star power for me is there, but will it be seen? In order to have the star power really show up in games like that, you have to have quarterbacks of equal value on both sides. But that's going to be a good game as well, just because the two teams hate each other, and the AFC West is a fight every week. I also like when Caleb Williams has to play the Packers for the first time.
That's a really good one.
I don't know what date that's going to be. I had quite a few honorable mentions, and I know you had quite a few that you had liked. It's hard, guys, to pick 10 that are going to make everyone happy. These are just our 10.
I love Steelers Broncos, just the revenge game factor. Kind of like that Falcons game that we talked about. Same idea. Lions Cowboys, that was one of the best regular season games.
Lions Cowboys too. Cowboys Niners,
Bills Texans, another revenge game.
Bills Texans is going to be a very good game. The Stephon Diggs revenge game, that'll be very good. Because look, we all know that Diggs is going to be not there for more than a year. They're not going to pay Diggs. Diggs is literally there to win a Super Bowl this year. Let me tell you something. The Lions and the Texans, this is their year to win the Super Bowl. They have gone all in. If they don't win the Super Bowl this year, I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl. At least get there. You're going to have to pay C.J. Stroud eventually. You just paid Goff. There's no more money. There's going to be no more money. we'll see what happens. But those are kind of our honorable mentions. I'm looking forward to this year, man. I can't wait for football. My goodness. This is going to be such a great season, man. I am so excited to see what happens with the NFL this year, especially with the new rules. So that's it, World of Matches, bringing you guys the heat as always. I'm a little under the weather, man. It kind of sucks. But that does not stop me from coming on and talking football and bringing you guys the heat. I don't know what we'll do next, but we'll do something here soon. Me and Spencer are always up to talk football because that's basically our lives, job, wife, football. Kind of, maybe not in that order, but that's kind of where it's at. Parting shots, Spencer. What do you got?
God, this gets you really excited when pen gets put to paper. Like, knowing who your matchups are exciting, but the weeks do matter, and the ebbs and flow of the season. Do you have a long road trip? Who are the teams you're playing? Like, it's almost as important as knowing who your opponents are.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have to take a look at some of these rosters soon, because it's the draft is such like it's just its own thing. It's its own mini season, the draft. But now that these guys are on a team, they just kind of fall in line in the depth chart. It's like, it's weird to kind of think about it that way. So we'll have to take a look at some rosters soon and really see like what these teams look like now.
Yeah, I'm ready for it, man. I'm here for it. If there's stuff that you guys want us to talk about, break down, look at, you can always leave comments, text us, the whole 9 yards. I mean, we're open to anything. I mean, yeah, it's the summer, but that doesn't mean anything to us, man. There's no empty, week here for us. I mean, even if we're not on, we're doing recon on something, NFL. I mean, I know I am. It's 24/7, 365, and when we're here for the people, that's what we do here at World of Matchups. All right, man. I was going to go on Harrison Butker rant, but I think I'll save it because neither the time nor the place for that. We're here to break down games, not get wax poetic or political about any of that other BS that's happening in the world. We'll see you guys. We appreciate the love. We appreciate the support. Appreciate you guys always watching. Like, share, subscribe. And we'll be back on real soon. You guys take it easy.
See ya.